Hey, what up? It's Alistair. I'm here to rant again. I'm gonna whinge about MMA apparel. So, you look at you go on the internet and you say, I want to buy a new rash guard, and you type in fucking MMA rash guard, jiu-jitsu rash guard, and up will come a million fucking different roll fucking tap fucking slip bump roll fucking 1,000 different apparel companies, and they'll all have super over designed fucking rash guards that have snakes and fucking skulls and monkeys doing karate and fucking pandas and geese and all this weird orientalist shit and fucking big nasty mix between a Polynesian fucking warrior and a samurai for some reason. Just the worst fucking things you'll ever see in your entire life printed on a fucking rash guard. Why is this the case? Why is fucking MMA apparel so horrific? And I'm gonna come at it from fucking 3 different angles and whinge, and then maybe hopefully give us something that we can all do about it. Alright. I'm gonna say 2010, around about then. I'm not sure when this was invented, but this was when it was popularized. People discovered that if you get white polyester of a particular fucking breakdown, what's it called, construction, and you print out special ink on a special piece of paper, flip that piece of paper over, put it on top of the polyester, heat press the polyester and the ink together, ink goes out of the paper into the polyester, you lift up the fucking heat press, blammo, you've put a design on this piece of polyester. They discovered you could do that, and that revolutionized the way you could put designs on items of fabric. So prior to that, you'd have to screen print direct to garment or fucking construct it out of applique. So screen printing, it's what the old bad boy shirts were screen printed. So I have a pair here. Here's one I prepared earlier. You can see that the fabric is actually red. The stuff on top is actually white. That's called plastisol screen printing ink. They'll have had a screen that had the bad boy eye like cut out of it or photo exposed onto it, so there's a hole. Put the screen over this, run the ink through it with a squeegee. That will stay on there. Heat press that. That'll never come off. That was one way you could do designs. Moderately expensive because you have to do a different screen for each part. You have to like do it when the garment is deconstructed, or if it's shirt, you have to like lay them flat in a particular way. Where do I have an actual screen? So I do this. Here's one that I prepared earlier, Meatballs and Muscles for little Tony Stellino. I did this multicolored. I'm so fucking proud of how cool that shirt looks. But that said, it's hard. And if you add more colors, you have to have more screens. You have to line everything up. It takes a bit of work, requires a bit of expertise. Or you build it up with applique. So previously, last time I talked about applique, how you have to physically stick pieces of fabric on top of the other piece of fabric, stitch them on. You could vinyl transfer, which has been around for quite a while. I remember having a vinyl transfer custom jumper when I was about 4 or 5. That was specially designed after a rugby jersey of Jonah Lomu, because I was despite being Australian, I was big into that guy. He was really cool. And so my parents took like a jumper to a person who customized gear. And they like vinyl cut out number 11 on the back and then put the little leaf, the silver fern. So that's been around for ages. But that requires a bit of work. And if you want it to stay on stretch materials, you need to stitch it down. And so, again, a bit of work. So, direct to garment, that's a bit newer. And then sublimation, which is what we're talking about today, that came out relatively recently. And that requires an expensive printer, special fabric, and special inks. But once you have sublimation printing, you can put any design on anything. Now, the quality isn't going to be great. It's always going to be a little bit blurry because of the digitization process, because you've got to deal with anti-aliasing and that sort of thing. But it doesn't require specialized skills beyond the ability to design a fucking thing on Photoshop. So this is why someone can go on Redbubble, do up some tights in their fucking design doohickey, their design program, and get a pair of tights that look like that in less than a week. These tights are fucking awful. They'll fall apart in no time at all. The quality of the print is almost always garbage. And there's all these fucking digitization artifacts in it. And I don't even want to think about where it's made or how it's made. That's something that people have to look at. That being said, sub-dyeing, like, democratized the ability to put a design on a piece of fabric. That fabric, however, has to be a particular variety of polyester. And it can only be so durable due to the nature of the fact that it is polyester. It also can't breathe because it's polyester, because you're wearing fucking plastic. It can stretch, so you can have non-stretch stuff, or you can have fucking rash guards that stretch out. But the print will, like, fade as it gets stretched, so I'm not sure if we'll be able to see that on this one. I also don't want to, like, pull it apart. But, like, it'll become white a little bit. Not so bad, because this is Raven, and Raven do good work. Still, you get, like, stuff from Redbubble or Spoonflower, and you stretch it out, and it turns white. So, people found out you could do that. And then that meant to get a custom item of clothing, the price was reduced as long as you had enough volume to make it worthwhile to have one of those sublimation printers and a sweatshop to go with it to sew it all together. Now, that's where a bunch of these fucking MMA apparel brands come from. You can go, say, fucking... We're going to talk about Fudd Crunkleberry a lot. Fudd Crunkleberry is my straw man fighter from Minnesota. Fudd Crunkleberry, he's been training for a while. He's fought a few times. People know his name. He has like 400 followers on Instagram. So he's decided to start an apparel business. Fudd gets on Google, looks up custom MMA gear, and you'll get a group of websites that lead to, like, what are they called? Fucking factories in Pakistan or Bangladesh. Or, if he's unlucky, China. Or if he's cheap, China. And you can put in designs, they'll give you a quote for X 100, X 50, whatever. More items you get done, the cheaper it'll be. And you'll get that quote back. And he'll probably be able to sell those at a profit after the shipping and everything else. Now, problem with Fudd Crunkleberry is, now we're into fast fashion. So those items that he'll get built, unless he gets them from one or two of the good places, they'll be disposable. They'll not be built to withstand the actual rigors of mixed martial arts. Of training, getting tackled, fucking getting kicked, having people pull on them, having dudes grab fistfuls of your shorts. They're just not built for it, because often the people who are making these items of clothing, now, I'm not saying this is always fucking happening. With the big fucking example is Shein. So, not that Shein makes fucking MMA apparel. However, we're going to talk about them. Shein, everything from the cotton to the items being shipped out of China, slaves. Slaves fucking all the way along. There have been interviews with people who have been kidnapped, forced, or, like, arrested, told that they're going to be sent to prison unless they willingly work for fucking Shein, like, on trumped up charges. And there they are. They fucking have to pick cotton. The people who make the cotton, people who fucking pick it, pack it, spin it into fucking fabric, people who cut that fabric and then sew it together. None of them are getting paid. They're getting fucking beaten and tased, and just, they do not have control over their own lives. Not good. This also happens in Bangladesh. This also happens in Pakistan. Not that long ago, there was that fucking factory collapse, and a lot of the women that were in that, from memory, fucking tell me if I'm wrong, were not paid to be there. It's just all this awful shit that goes on out of sight and out of mind, so that you and I can have cheap clothing. I do not like that. For two reasons. One of them, altruistic. I just don't think it's good for the human condition. And then two, I make clothes. So, if I tell someone I make shorts, I hold up this pair of shorts here, and I say, that costs you $40, sometimes people will balk at that, because they're used to $5 shorts from fucking Kmart. I can't charge what Kmart can charge, because one, I don't have the economies of scale that they have, and two, I like to be able to pay my own rent. I'm not being held in captivity. I have no Pakistani slaves. I am the Pakistani slave. And I would like to be able to afford my own food. So, not super often. It's actually pretty good, usually. But, you know, we've devalued what a item of clothing is worth by sending that construction overseas. The skills required to build an item of clothing from scratch are no longer held valuable by the culture. I don't like that. That's kind of shit. And all the cheap fucking rash guards, cheap shorts, with fucking snakes and skulls on it, they're contributing to that. They're helping that roll over. I'm not saying that fucking Fudd Crunkleberry's buying his stuff from slave labor, but he's rolling the dice on the fucking fucking spinning the slave labor roulette wheel. He might get unlucky. That's not Fudd's fault. That's the nature of the business as it is. The only way to do that is to change what we buy. Now, this also leans into why the designs are so bad. And we're back. Okay, so, back to Fudd Crunkleberry. Fudd's, he's a white boy from Minnesota. He doesn't have the most fucking distinguished tastes in the world. He's a simple man. He likes fucking beers and trucks. So, Fudd Crunkleberry goes, fuck it, I am paying an artist. What do you mean I have to pay for my art? He opens up GIMP and finds Snake, Vector PNG, fucking Skull, Vector PNG, Monkey Head, Vector PNG, mashes them together in some sort of unholy fucking mess, and sends that off to Pakistan. And the Pakistani guy will look at that and go, yeah, fuck, the fucking sub-dye machine can do that. Run it through, out comes your snakes, your fucking skulls, and your fucking monkey heads. The nature, if you give me that as a guy who makes items, I'm going to tell you this is too much. I can't do it. Pick one. I remember not long ago I got a pair of tights from a guy who wanted like the Yakuza dragon tattoo from Kazuma Kiryu's back on his things. And I'm like, there's 10 fucking colors in that, bro. If I do that manually, I'm going to be cutting out dots this big of fabric to stick on. Pick one color. And simplifying it down, it looks better. It ends up with a better finish. When you're not... Yeah. Simplicity looks good, often. So I'm going to pick up a pair of shorts. These are my favorite bad shorts. I love these. I got these for fighting on Storm damage. Now, Storm is a unique individual. In a world full of fucking smaller promotions trying to be mini UFCs, Storm is staunchly unique in his aesthetic. And his aesthetic is the ugliest, most fucking hideous thing you've ever seen in your entire life. But God, do I love it. So we're going to hold these up. I'm going to spin it around so you can see the big fucking bear head. And then on the other side, we got fucking Viking and a bear as well. Blurry as shit. Like, I don't know how well that comes through the camera. The colors are all fucked up. This is fucking awful, but I love it. And I love Storm. Like, he looked after me so well, and he didn't have to. That said, God, those shorts are hideous. If he'd sent me that, I'd be like, Storm, too much. You get one. You get the bear or the Viking. And then you simplify it down, and you make it, you know, aesthetically pleasant to look at, rather than just a mess that's fucking assaulting your eyeballs with fucking, like, at least he doesn't do Kung Fu Pandas. At least he doesn't do fucking ninjas and snakes and skulls. At least his stuff is, again, unique. It's uniquely ugly, and I love looking at it. Just the nature of the way things are built, the cheapness of the production, the fact that anybody can submit anything without like vetting it first or getting it refined, elevated to a decent look, means that you end up with all of this garbage gear that falls apart, just disassembles in your fingers. And it didn't used to be this way, and it doesn't have to be this way. You can ask for better. You can look locally and pay someone. Like, the thing is, I was talking to my good friend Leo Lalio, so I don't know which fucking of these videos is actually going to have gone through. So we're going to re-talk about Leo. He runs Isai Fightwear. He gets his stuff out of Pakistan. And we were talking, he was like telling me that I could, make my life easier by getting some of the gear made there. And I'm like, no, I like to make it. And so then we ended up comparing prices. And I was asking him what he charged for a Vale Tudo short. And what he was being charged. He's getting charged what I sell like a finished set of shorts for, and then he's adding his markup on top of that. So it's not even cheaper for you as the consumer or the fucking middleman. It's not worth it in terms of like the cost to the fucking... We're not going to go fucking hippie. It's not worth it in terms of the hassle of the language barrier. Unless you speak, various other languages, you're going to run into some sort of barrier when you're going overseas with this shit. It's not worth that hassle. It's not worth shipping things. It's not worth the extra tax on getting things shipped in. It's just not worth the fucking effort. And when you can find someone locally who makes stuff, and they might be able to make enough for you, that's all I really want. If we want something like some fucking grand vision for this, all I want is people to buy stuff locally and buy good quality gear that's going to actually last them. And we need to stop buying shit that's made as cheaply as possible, as fast as possible, so that it breaks as quickly as possible, so we can buy as many of them as possible to fucking actually have a decent item of clothing. There's no point buying $10, $5 shirts when a fucking $20 shirt will outlast all of them. And that's, the opinion that I have on this. I want it to be cheaper for you. As much as I want to sell my Vale Tudo shorts to somebody. I like making my wrestling gear. I enjoy it. It pays my rent some weeks. Like the day job pays rent the other weeks. I can see where that money's coming from and going. As much as I like doing that, I would honestly like to sit down and make Vale Tudo shorts every day for the rest of my fucking life. And sell them out to gyms and fighters custom. Not gonna happen in the current fucking environment, because people look at me in my fucking spare room and think amateur. Despite the fact that I'm gonna be paying for better fucking quality materials, I'm gonna be doing a better job of printing, I'm gonna buy better thread, and I'm gonna pay myself. But because I don't own a factory, because I'm a dude in a room, there isn't that clout. And so, rather than looking at the fact that you produced 10,000 units and made fucking several $1 million last year, whatever, and that as the fucking measure for the professionalism of the quality of your product, look at the fucking quality of the product you're getting and decide whether or not you're getting something worth what you're paying for it, or worth owning, really. Like, at some point, things are so cheaply put together that it wasn't worth the energy expended to click buy. And for the love of God, stop wearing the skulls and the snakes. It makes us look fucking... Yeah. There's a comment on the old Tap Out. Yeah, there's a comment on the old fucking Tap Out website that's like, I don't like what you guys are doing for martial arts. You look like a bunch of poorly dressed homosexuals. Grapplers in particular. And, that's not what I'm going for, If you're a poorly dressed homosexual, excellent. Fucking great. Have fun. My problem is the poorly dressed part. I want, we've for so long we've been trying to have fucking MMA as a respectable thing. We've sanitized it and homogenized it into this fucking gruel. If we're committed to that, can we at least stop wearing the most ugly clothing known to man? Thanks very much for tuning into the rant. I'll edit this one together and we'll see what happens. See ya.